Good?
You are now.
Well, I am now. Okay, so we're going to start out and we're going to go through the exact same type of thing. So now that you're finished and everybody's done and everything's over with and everything like that, tell me about how you feel about your entrepreneurship degree. So, just tell me anything at all you want, or tell each other, or whatever.
I think it's really given us the whole toolbox. Like maybe accounting will give you a tool of the toolbox that you can then go and help someone in their business, kind of help their business move along. And you've really given us the whole toolbox so that we can kind of be a more complete mechanic, let's say, and really get to all the issues rather than just one. Like we can do marketing, accounting, finance, supply chain. We've learned it all. So you've really given us everything we need.
Okay.
Yeah, going off of that, I really agree. I think we get like a full-rounded degree. And one thing, me being a double major in management and entrepreneurship, the thing about entrepreneurship is a lot of these other majors just tell you what to do if everything's perfect and perfect scenario and like, yeah, this is what you do. But being an entrepreneur, that's not the case at all. Like you're gonna run into a million problems, and that's the thing about the entrepreneurship program is we go over what to do when things do go wrong and how to approach them and how to fix them. And I think that's going to help us more than anything, really, and when we start our own businesses. So,
Yeah. Patrick?
I think for me, more than all the other business majors, the entrepreneurship major is the most creative of all of them. Pretty much, like accounting, finance, management, marketing are pretty cut and dry and traditional, where you've seen what that degree turns into, where entrepreneurship, if you have new ideas or you want to do something different, that's where you're going to get the opportunity to do that more so than other majors.
Yeah, you know what your end is going to be if you're, an accounting major. It's going to be cubicle hell.
yeah.
I mean, I don't care. You're going to end up in a cubicle somewhere, no matter how high you go, you're still going to be in a cubicle. Mason?
I feel good about it. I think that the ability to seek opportunities makes me feel better about the degree, that I'm not focusing on one thing all the time. I don't have to be stuck in a situation for too long that's making me unhappy. I could just go to the next thing.
Yeah. So you think you're going to be a serial entrepreneur? You think you're going to do multiple things, or you don't know yet?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to start off, I'm going to get some type of job to try to see how operations work in different businesses, and then from there, I don't want to be stuck. If I don't like the situation and I get tired of it, to go be able to do something else.
Okay. Brad, you've got a lot of stuff going on in your life.
Yeah, I do. I'm a dual major for supply chain and entrepreneurship, and I think having the entrepreneurship degree really is something that's unique because whenever I went for my job interview, the interviewers looked at that, and the company I work for is Martin's famous pastry shop, and they're trying to expand their market into Canada, and they're figuring out how to do that. And they looked at my application, and they were like, wow, we've never seen this before. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And they asked me about the business plans and stuff, and I actually gave them a business plan. And they looked at that and they said, wow, I mean, you could really help us out and figure out how we're going to do this. Not just doing the job we want you to do, but maybe, we can have you grow in this business and put you somewhere else that, we may need you in the future. And it's not just about opening your own business. I mean, obviously I could do that too, but it's that uniqueness about the degree that allows you to pretty much do whatever you want and kind of had the upper hand over everybody else who graduates with a business degree, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about, an entrepreneurship, when you're getting ready to interview, you can take business plans with you. And if somebody says, well, why did you get a D in microeconomics or something, you can slide a business plan across and say, well, I can do this.
Exactly.
And it just shuts them up, If they look at your things and say, oh, you didn't do so well in accounting or whatever. Yeah, but I can do this. And, it makes a whole lot of difference. So talk about what have been your experiences so far.
Well, I think I'm in a different boat than a lot of these these people here because I'm a junior. I still have 2 more classes to take in the major, but I think kind of what everyone, like putting together what everyone's talking about, you just have the opportunity and the idea and the ability to do something different, to just do something that not everyone is going to be doing when they graduate. You just have an opportunity to be creative, to make your own choices, and I think that's something that's invaluable, something that you can't really get from any of the other majors. And I think me specifically, like looking forward, I have so many ideas for things I want to do when I come into classes next year, and I think that's something that maybe that hint of creativity that maybe you had when you were younger is something that maybe you would have lost when going through a lot of your classes, but then when you come back into these classes, you kind of like get a rekindling of that interest and that flame. And I think that's something that's really valuable that you can't really get in a lot of programs or a lot of classes that you take here other than the entrepreneurship classes.
Okay, let's, I heard a lot of really good stuff and everything, but let's talk about the intensity. You guys talked about creativity, and we want to be as creative. I want you guys to be as creative and innovative as possible. But a lot of times, like students that are saying, well, I'd love to be an entrepreneurship major, but I hear it's too intense, And I'm like, well, no, it's not intense, but I mean, you have to work, but I mean, it's not intense in the sense that, I'm going to, beat you over the head with a 2x4 or anything like that. What do you think about the intensity of the program? Is it intense next to other majors, or what would you say?
Yeah, so when people say intense, I kind of agree, but I disagree. So part of that intensity, I think, comes from you, because I think you always come to class with a lot of energy, and which I like. I think everyone up here can agree with that. I like a teacher with a lot of energy because everyone knows if you go to a professor that's monotoned, you're going to be sleeping within 5 minutes of that class. So, so obviously you want someone with energy. And on top of that, where I get the intensity from entrepreneurship is that we never do one thing like over and over again to the point where it's like, yeah, accounting, you'll be doing like book work and you'll just know how to do it. It's repetitive. But in entrepreneurship, there's a new case every class, and every case is different. So you're always on your toes. Everything we discuss, you're always on your toes. You don't know the answer, and you have to figure it out yourself. And I think that's where part of the intensity comes from in this class, which I really like, because I don't think any of the work we do is tedious to me. It all has like a purpose. It all teaches you something. So I really like that, and I think that's where part of this like reputation as intensity comes from for
I would say like
program.
with that too, like with intensity, I think that's subjective to every person, because if you're going to go into a class and you're not interested in it, then of course the work you're going to do is going to feel boring. It's going to feel
tedious. It's going to feel intensive. It's not something that you're interested in. But when you come into a program, and especially like with entrepreneurship, you're doing things that you're enjoying that you want to do with yourself in the future. You know that you want to create or start something. So you're learning everything that you need in these classes, that you have the ability to do that as you move forward. So I think, yes, it's difficult if you're not interested, but it almost doesn't feel like that, because we're doing things that we enjoy so much that it's more or less something that just flows, and you get into this state where you're just working and you're just doing things. You just keep going through, and by the time you're done with it, it's like, wow, I did all this, and it's something you're proud of. So I would say to the point that, yeah, it's intense, but it's something so rewarding that you almost don't feel like you're working. If I had to say.
What about you guys?
I definitely think that it is intense. I don't think it's too intense, though. I think that if you're going to get through the program, with its intensity, you're going to have to work really, really hard for it. And if you're not going to work really, really hard for it, then you're not going to make it in the business world anyway. That's just how it is. Like, the business world is intense, and I think you're preparing us for that intensity with this course.
Well, you're kind of an intense guy too, so
I'm pretty intense.
It wouldn't be. It's not too tough to understand why you would feel that way.
Yeah.
Somebody like Patrick is probably about as laid back as they come. In fact, I have a tough time believing that Patrick is a business major sometimes. You seem so mellow. So do you think the program was, well, Mason too. Mason is pretty, both of you guys are very, kind of laid back guys. So what was it intense for you?
For me, I think the first or second issues class I had really taught me how much I didn't know coming in, where I thought, this is the first major class, we'll see what happens. And the first day I was thinking, man, I have a lot to learn going through the next couple classes, especially with like accounting and finance and things like that. I definitely felt unprepared, but not in a bad way. I felt like I was also going to get that out of the class. And after, I think, the third or fourth class in issues, I felt fine about it. I didn't feel as overwhelmed as I did the first couple of days.
What about you, Mason?
I think at first it was intense, but then you eventually get into a routine of doing the work, and it just gets easier. And every class, it just gets easier over and over. Like, yeah.
It's definitely, it's more coming from going to, at this point, you're probably a junior if you're taking entrepreneurship. Going through, that's 10 years at least of school, it's so much different than other classes. And that's what makes it feel like a lot of information. It's just that it's not, let's come and look at a PowerPoint today.
No PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly, which is great.
No PowerPoints.
I think the intensity comes from it being different form than most other classes.
So should I do PowerPoints?
No.
Please no.
Please no.
Keep doing it.
Please no. Please no PowerPoints.
Especially in a night class.
Well, the thing is, let's talk. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
I know for me it was really intense in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, because I had 3 of your classes in one semester.
Yes, I remember that.
Starting off, and I remember my first week you gave us 3 cases, and I had 3 cases in each of the classes. So it was partly because I didn't know how you graded and what to expect from you as a teacher. So I felt like I needed to read all the cases and do every single thing. And
Yes,
get it all
say that.
right.
Get a close-up of him saying that.
Because that's what I felt like I was expected to do, was to get every little part of the case right and focus on every single thing being correct. And it's really not about that. It's more about taking the lesson from the case. You don't have to read every single little word and get every single detail out of it. It's what can you take from this case to help you build yourself as a better entrepreneur. And also, I think people think it's intense because you bring a level of passion to the course that a lot of professors don't bring. Because I feel like it's not just a job for you, it's because you actually enjoy doing what you do, and money is irrelevant at this point.
Don't need the money.
Exactly. So a lot of other teachers, they can just, they have a path written out. They don't really care what goes on. It's just a paycheck for them. But for you, if students aren't doing the work, if the whole class as a whole isn't taking it seriously, then, that's something that you take back and you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. What am I doing wrong? How can I change this? And the final thing I'm going to say is, if you don't want to be an entrepreneurship major, then you don't really belong here, in my opinion, because this is something that you have to feel like you want to be. This is a place where you feel like you want to be. It's not just like accounting where you can say, oh, I can learn a skill and go out in the workforce and get a job. It's, I want to open a business. I want to acquire these skills and grow myself as a person into the future. And if people aren't serious about taking this course, then I feel like it's going to be very intense for them.
Well, let's talk about 2 things that all you guys think. What about night classes? I know that you guys, and the reason that we do the night classes, I'll tell you the reason, and then we can discuss whether or not we could, somehow do this during the days. The reason that we do it at night is because I don't want any conflicts, because, we only teach, there's only one of me, and we can only teach them, each semester we can only have one class at one time. So, given that, we can't have any schedule conflicts with anything else. Like, for example, double majors. If there were double majors and everything, and if there's conflict, then it means that we're going to be in bad shape. So we always do night classes. We've always done night classes. But, do you think it would be better if we didn't do night classes? It's okay. You can be honest about it. Because we all do night. We start at 5 generally, and we, end whenever. But what do you think? Would it be? You think we'd get more majors or less majors? I've heard people say, "Oh, I can't take night classes. It just ruins my day."
I think that if you gave a variety of course times, that you would attract a lot more people. Because me personally, I like taking morning classes. That way I can do what I need to do at nighttime, especially since I have a family.
Yeah.
And personally, I just think that if there was more variety to the courses, like maybe you don't have to teach the day classes, but if another professor taught the day classes, that would just open up the window for more students to coming into the program, I think.
Yeah, well, should we have more students? I mean, we're small and, we're very small right now. We graduate about 12 or 13 a year. Now, we could make the program bigger, but would that be a good idea or a bad idea?
I personally like the exclusivity because you're going to go out and you're vying for either a job or an investment, and our exclusivity here being very, very small and having small cohorts in the entrepreneurship program gives us, I think, a leg up on people. And to the second thing being the night class, I was very drawn personally to the night classes because I am terrible at waking up. And the night classes kind of definitely saved my life with this program.
Well, you guys, because you're staying out late with that fraternity thing going. Yeah, so you like to sleep in the next day. What about you, Dalton? How do you feel about the size and the timing and everything?
I personally like the size. I think if you take it into a realistic standpoint, not a lot of people are cut out to run their own business. It's part of the work ethic and like your creativity and like how you take things. So I think I like the smaller aspect, and also it's nice because when you're working on your business plans, if you want to group up with someone, you know who you mesh well with and who you can get stuff done with and who you can bounce ideas off of and come up with some really good ideas. And not all of us have the same ideas as far as businesses go. So there's some people that you synergize with more than others, and I really like that. And I think the smaller class size allows you to get to know each other more and really allow us to grow as far as entrepreneurs, because if it was a bigger class, like my management as being a major, I don't really know anyone like that well as far as like outside of class, but in entrepreneurship I know a lot of people outside of class really well.
What about you, Patrick?
I love night classes just because I've actually taken at least one a semester for almost all the semesters I've been at college. Since sophomore year, I've been taking at least 1 or 2 night classes a semester. So I like that because it feels like less time a week to me.
Because you're only going once a week, generally.
Exactly. I like that. Not everyone is a fan, but I like it. And also not having to get up. I actually find I work better in the start of the day than at night because I'm not as tired, where by the time I get done with my night class, I can just go home and I have nothing else to worry about because my stuff for the next day is already done. At least that's how I handled it. I think we could be a little bigger. Like maybe if we're graduating with 12 or 13, I think if the graduating class was between 20 and 25, I think that would definitely be better. I'm also a marketing major, and I think that taking other classes, there's definitely other students in the College of Business that would benefit a lot from the entrepreneurship major, but just aren't aware of it, and maybe that's because of the size. But there are definitely students out there that would get a lot out of it, and I think could handle it, that haven't had the opportunity, I think.
Okay. What about you, Mason?
I don't dislike or like night classes. I just know that when a class is extended over like the normal amount of time, you're the only teacher that I could listen to and not totally zone out. Because of that intensity and that extra passion you bring, and it makes the night class actually go fast.
Really?
We definitely fill the time.
Oh yeah.
And we also don't. A lot of times when you see it was like 6:30 to 9:15 time slot on the scheduling thing, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be there for 3 hours. But it's really, if we get done what we came there to do, we're not gonna sit around and talk about nothing.
I'm not gonna waste your time.
I've had one professor do that, and that was not fun. But
if we're over at 8:30, we're over at 8:30.
Exactly. So it's not like you're not active in the class.
No, I'm not an active. I'm a passive person, really. What about you, Brad?
I personally like the smaller aspect of it just because you get to know everybody a little bit better. But I also think it would be good for future students to grow the program because I think that you personally have a lot to teach students, and I think every student should have the chance to learn from someone who's been a successful businessman and has so many stories and so much knowledge to share and just knows so much about every single thing. It's not like, we come to class every day and it's just like book work, PowerPoint. It's something different, and the way you deliver a message is just, I think everybody should have the opportunity to learn from that. So I don't think necessarily growing the program is a bad thing, but I think if you grow it to be the size of maybe 40 to 50 students, that it will be difficult to reach out to every single person and get to know them. But I think that 20 to 30 students wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for the future. So,
No, we could do 20 or 30.
right.
What about you? What do you think? What do you think is?
Completely different about that. I think scalability is the name of entrepreneurship. I think that the idea that if there's more people out there that want to get a hold of and do these classes, I think it's necessary. I don't know how you couldn't want to scale it, right? You're building something here, and we're building something that almost no other school can offer, right? Like, why do we not want to get as many people in this as possible? And on top of that, if you build a program up, you're going to get more resources, you're going to get more capabilities. We're going to have an entrepreneurship room, something where we can come together with groups, take time and do things together with groups, and there's more people involved in the program. So you're going to meet, like, say for example, if there's 15 kids that would be like, man, I would love to take an entrepreneur. It's the thing, you have to balance scaling with
Finding the right people, right? So if you find people that are knowledgeable and share characteristics that you do with the right vision and are able to teach not just from a book but more real world, then I feel like scaling would be the only thing you could do, right? Because then there'd just be more people, more resources, more things to do, and more people that could work together on things that maybe they didn't know they wanted to start a business until they met two other people in the class that wouldn't have originally been in it, that they can build with them. I think scaling's a good thing. And then with the class times, that wouldn't be a problem then, because you have more people.
Right. It's a resource thing more. Right now, because the program's small, it's because we don't have the resources and everything. But you mentioned the maker room, and we've all written our letters to the maker room.
Which we've never heard back from.
Yeah, but that's okay. We need to keep on pushing. Actually. That's going to make a huge amount of difference. And all of you guys have been in new product, and all of you guys have done all that. Having that maker room and having that place where we can do things is going to be a huge resource. Now, you guys didn't get to benefit from it, but believe me, it's going to be a huge resource. All right, so let's talk about the future. So, what does the future hold for you guys? I know you're going to graduate school, but what about all the rest of you? Do you feel like you're ready for whatever comes your way?
Yeah, I feel like I'm ready. The one thing I want to do is maybe get a job in a certain field that I'm interested in, and maybe interested in starting a business in, and maybe work there for a few years just to know the ins and outs of that particular industry. And I think I can take that with me eventually. And then when I start my own business, I'm going to know that industry better than anyone else, and I can create a successful business and really succeed. So.
I know you're going to graduate school, but you're going to graduate school in entrepreneurship. So what are you planning on doing?
I really want to start up a high-tech entrepreneurial firm that would do something in either manufacturing, energy, or agriculture, because I feel like those fields are the up-and-coming. We need to start finding innovative solutions to these growing problems, like how we're doing all of our manufacturing in other countries right now. If we brought additive manufacturing to the United States for the general public, I think that it could be very beneficial. And I think your program has gotten me to a point that I can now go to the next step in the program cycle, which is master's, and really excel. I have a lot to bring to the table over there, and they're really, really new over there, so.
Yeah, I've spoken to them.
Yeah, sure.
I've spoken to one person there, and they were very impressed. with what you've done. So that's great.
Man, wouldn't have done it without you to guide me
Yeah,
along the way.
there we go. They couldn't believe it. They said, he's written 6 business plans. I said, yes. Yes. He may not have written them all. I said, but he generally worked by himself.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Patrick? What do you feel like the future is going to hold for you?
Who knows? It could, at this point, it's wide open.
That's all right.
I don't have a job lined up, and there are a couple ideas. I might be moving across the country, and at that point, like, for example, one of my best friends growing up is moving to Madison because he got a great job out there, and he needs a roommate. So one of the things I'm considering is just moving there with him without a job lined up or anything. I mean, I'll look for stuff up there, but I think even now I don't feel unprepared that if I didn't have the perfect full-time job coming out of college, I could find other things to do that would be fulfilled that kind of monetary or time slot in my life.
Madison, Wisconsin is really cool.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
It's a really cool place. So you won't have any problems. It's a great place to live. Get a big winter coat.
Yeah.
Big winter coat. What about you, Mason? What are you going to be doing?
I'm not sure yet. I'm just
Options.
Yeah, options. I'm open to all options. I'm just ready to graduate and then take it one step at a time.
Okay. I know that you've already got a job,
Mm-hmm.
and you're excited about that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool because I've been working there part-time, training while going through my last semester, which was cool because I'm doing logistics, so I'm routing trucks across the country and doing international shipments of the bread that we make, which is really beneficial. But I don't see myself doing that for the rest of my life because I always envisioned myself opening a business. But I feel like it's necessary to learn a little bit more about how a business is run, especially through another company, especially a growing company, that I might need to put some of my entrepreneurial talent into, especially with expanding markets that we're trying to get into. So my plan is to work there for a while, and if things go great, maybe I'll have some opportunity to work my way up the corporate ladder, but I don't exactly expect that. So eventually I would like the idea of working for myself, and I think that it would be a good thing to acquire some of this knowledge while I'm young, and then maybe later on in life I'll have enough money saved up, or I can get a loan to open my own business, and then I think I'll really be able to excel at it at that point.
Don't wait too long.
I'll try not to.
What you got going on? I mean, you got another year to go, but you're so. How do you feel after you've gone from in this first year, from where you started and everything? Do you think you've really gotten a lot out of it in this first year?
Absolutely, yeah. I think too, when you come into the program, maybe there's two boats. Like, some people come in and are like, all right, I have a specific job or company I want to start, and then the other boat is like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know this is the area that I want to be in. And for me, like, I've grown up in a small business family. Like, my dad started his own company, and I've seen the freedom and the availability that he's had in his life, and the choices that he's been able to make because he hasn't been tied down by a job. And that's something that I think is so rewarding, and something like, why would anyone not want that? And I think from that point, like, I was like, okay, I know I want this when I started, but I didn't know how to get there, right? But then through the first couple semesters I've had of 3 classes with you, and then I'm starting to find out how to bridge that gap, how to build my vision and my idea of wanting to work for myself. How can I make that into a reality? And I think that's what the program offers. The program is going to tell you, like, how to be successful, but it's just going to give you all the tools and the ability to be like, look, you know what to do now. Like, here's your opportunity. Make yourself into something, right? Make your business. Do whatever you want. Or if you just wanted to learn the ideas and still go work in a corporation, you can. But yeah, for me, like, I think I understand and finally starting to bridge that gap.
Okay, this is the final question and everything. We talked about intensity, and we've talked about getting bigger and everything like that. What about spending a lot of time with me in the office? I've had people like it, people don't like it. Like, I require you generally to come in and talk to me about your business plans and everything like that, because I'm a worry guy. you know, and I like to see your faces outside of class. What do you think about that? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? I mean, a lot of you guys, I mean, some of you visit more than others, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind that or anything. But do you think that's a good thing about the program? Because like I know everybody. I know everybody. I know what they do. I know what they're good at. I know what they're not so good at. I know everything. A lot of people like that, and a lot of people don't like that. What do you think? Is that a plus or a minus for the program?
Definitely like the personal connection that we can make, because it's, again, very small. So if I want to come hang out in your office, I can do that kind of in any of your office hours. There's never really that much of a wait. I personally didn't come visit you that much, just because usually I'd be scared that my plan wasn't good enough yet, or that you were gonna tell me that I needed this in it, and I just wanted to leave it up for surprise sometimes.
I get a lot of surprises. I get a lot of surprises. So what do you think? You think the office hours are good or bad, or?
Yeah, I think the office hours are good. I think you're pretty open for the size class that we have. Definitely, there's never like a time where I couldn't reach you, and even on top of that, after class, you're always open to talk to. So I know I've talked to you about like movie pass after class for like a quick 10-minute speech.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm not really a huge person to go to my professor's office hours all the time, but whenever I needed to talk to you, I could either talk to you after class or go to your office. Anytime that I needed you, you were there. So yeah, I think the office hours are good, and you're always there to either help us with our work or just talk to us about anything personal or.
Not too personal.
Not too personal. But,
not too personal. I mean, I talked to you about your work and everything. I don't want to know. I don't want to know some of those details about your personal life. What about you, Patrick? You were a okay office person. You could come in from time to time.
I think I didn't come in that often, but when I did, I got what I needed out of it, especially with the business plans. Like if there were a few business plans where there's definitely a chunk where I just had no idea what I needed to do. And even if you didn't lay it out for me, you definitely gave me at least a start, or even hearing that kind of gave my mind a little bit of a kick or something to expand on. So I think it definitely helped me the times I did, and even that 10 minutes of office hours made a big difference of the work I ended up doing.
Okay, Mason.
I wish I would have used it more, but because of feedback, I wish I would have timed it so that I came in more often, so that I was on the right track and knew I was on the right track the whole time, instead of just building it up and getting the feedback all at once. And I think out of everything, the feedback that you give, I actually want to understand it. I go out of my way to understand it versus other classes where it's just memorizing, and I feel like the office hours are good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brad?
I know I didn't really come to your office that much.
No, you're a busy man.
I know, but personally, I think you should require more time with your students.
I've been thinking about doing that. That's why I'm asking this question about actually requiring more office hours.
Because I feel like a lot of people get stressed over everything that's going on, especially if they're new, and then that just spreads around the college, and then bad word gets about around the program. I know in my management class, there's a couple girls in your corporate entrepreneurship class who would come in and complain about the cases every day because they didn't understand something. And I feel like if they would just talk to you and get some feedback from you, it wouldn't be like that, and there wouldn't be so much bad rep about the entrepreneurial
I know.
program.
We get a bad rep. What is our rep? What is our rep now throughout the College of Business?
Difficult.
It's difficult. Yeah. It's tedious. It's
tedious.
I don't know if tedious is what I've heard.
It's work that I do all this work and then it's all wrong, and I just spent 3 hours doing it, and there's no point to do it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what a lot of people say.
So it hasn't changed in 3 years.
Exactly.
What is the
Half
rep?
the time it's just this crazy old assholes making you do something else.
I mean, what the thing is correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it sounds like to me that a lot of people are just jealous.
They might be.
They can't handle it.
I think people just don't like to be told that they're wrong, like because obviously we're
I know
wrong.
who they're-
That's
I
a
know
great
who-
point.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
point. I feel like
People can't take
what is
critical.
wrong with like if we're 20 to 23 years old, like we don't know anything, right? Like, and you have all these resources here that you're not using. Like, why would you not spend as much time in your office or any office? Like, if you're interested in something that a professor knows or does, spend as much time with them as you can. Learn and pick their brain as much as you can, because the things that they give you are going to be a lot better than the textbooks you're reading. That's for sure.
Oh,
You can't read and learn experiences. You can gain exposure from the people that tell you from real world, like what they've gone through. I think that stuff is so valuable, and people don't take advantage of it enough.
So, so the rep is basically difficult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing.
I just don't think it's known enough. I think we need to just inform more people about.
Yeah.
Just the
Well, that's what these tapes are about. We're trying to inform everything. All right. So, what are you guys going to say? If we're talking to all the people out there that are thinking about being entrepreneurship majors or going into the program or everything, what would you say to them?
You want me to say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Shake off, whoever.
I think anyone that's even interested, take a leap of faith and just go into one of the classes and experience it, and you can just tell from that experience if you want to be an entrepreneur or not. I mean, don't go in this thinking it's going to be some easy ride, and I already know everything. I'm going to start my own business. I already know how to do that. It's not. You're going to go into it. It's it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to work, but you're going to come out knowing more than any other major teaches you, and you're going to have the tools to basically open your own business whenever you want. So.
You want to go, Patrick? I still don't have.
I think if you're thinking about taking issues, if you're whatever the new first class would be,
New foundations classes.
yeah, I would definitely say, find some people that you can work with as soon as you can. And find the people that you work well with, because the only problems I've ever had are with, I think was my new product development group was. First, actually, half the group's up here.
Yeah.
Don't say anything negative, man. They're gonna beat you up.
I think everyone, we just didn't work well together at all.
Really?
As a whole, I think a couple of
You had a
us
great
were-
pride. The thing was beautiful.
It didn't feel that way until it was done. I think it definitely. I mean, it was. I contributed as much to the headache, I think, as anyone, but
Yeah, all right, yeah, let's set the table for this one a little bit. 5-10 minutes before presentation. All right, man, I'm coming up with you. I get up to stand up. Pat's like, no, you can just sit down, man. I'm gonna take it. Yeah.
we definitely we all got along as people really well.
Yeah, we had a good time. We
If
just
anything,
couldn't.
that hurt us, but
Yeah.
Also our group was too big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
had
We had like
think-
7
I think-
people.
I think
6 or
it was,
7.
It was too big, yeah.
All right.
Other than that, I think definitely, and I ended up doing almost all my business projects except for that one and the one I did with Brad by myself.
I think doing it by yourself's a great idea.
Yeah, I
honestly.
agree.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's honestly all of them. could
Well,
do.
theoretically, you only have to be in one group through the whole
Yeah.
program, and that's new
Yeah.
product.
But I think if you could do, like, I know Torianne and that whole table of people.
They're
About-
close.
Yeah, and they seem to work really well together and get a lot out of that. Where if I had even found like one person that I worked really well with, that would have helped me a lot. And I had that in some other classes where all my marketing classes I have 2 people that I do every project with, where we all are good at different things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find that early on, it'll help you. Even, especially early on working on cases, if you're coming into class knowing that there's 2 other people in the class on the same page as you, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable in class immediately, I think.
What about you, Mason? What advice would you give to everybody out there?
Going off the new product thing, my group was really good, and I think that was the best thing that happened to me was having that class first and that group, because Courtney and Alex went through, was it issues before that class?
Yeah, they'd already had issues.
So yeah, so they helped me with the cases, and we all did get along, and I feel like I got a lot out of it. And the way that class was structured, that you had to, like, deadlines for each part, I think relieved a lot of the stress.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's the most structured class.
Mhm.
I mean, if you think about it, new product's the most structured, and issues is the most cases. And then the other 3 classes are all really applied. I mean, small business, corporate, and the capstone are all just whatever you learned in issues is just applying it, full out. And that's how it's supposed to be structured. What about you, Brad? What would you tell everybody?
I would say if you want to start a business, this is the best course to be in, obviously. But secondly, even if you're not thinking about starting a business, you'll learn how every section of a business is run: finance, accounting, supply chain. You'll have knowledge from all those areas. They might not be the best, but you'll understand how everything runs. And my second thing to say would be don't get flustered in the beginning. Everything might appear to be difficult and hard, and it just gets easier over time as you understand how the courses run. And even if you get a bad grade, don't worry about it, because in the end, everything's going to work out for you. And trust me on that. Everything will be okay as long as you work hard and put the work in.
That'd be true. What about you? What advice would you give to students?
I think one, you're never going to stop learning. I'm going to talk here because I feel like these are the people that are going to be watching.
Yeah, they are.
You're never going to stop learning. And I think, honestly, I don't understand how or why. I feel like our program, at least one of the classes, maybe an intro level one, should be something that every student should have to take in business college. I think you learn about leadership and things, stuff like that you can learn more in this class than you would in, and I'm calling straight out, like an organizational behavior class that you're not getting anything out of in the real world. And let's be honest, you're not learning a thing in that class. It's just a waste. And then, but for example, then half the students will never experience the class that you're teaching, and why? Tell me why? Because you get so much more out of these classes. So I think just take what they said, take the lead. Just try a class out, even if you don't want to start your own business. You're going to learn so much more than you realize, and more that'll carry on with you, I think, forever.
All right, gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add to about anything before we break and do our things? Anybody got anything else they'd like to say about the program or about anything?
I'll share my most important advice. It would definitely be, first, to not wait till the last week to do your business plans, because that can turn into a week of hell, which is like 12-hour days.
Yes.
Straight on business plans.
Yes.
Especially when you get to be a junior and you're doing 2 classes at the same time and you got 2 business plans coming up. That's definitely a good thing to manage beforehand. And the second thing is, find a template for marketing plans and business plans that you like, that you can just fill in, because you're going to have to do 6 of them. So if you can do that early, you can really find a pathway to success and find through feedback what is good and isn't good about your business plans and what you need to add to it.
Okay. Anybody else got anything they'd like to say? Good. We can all go. You guys are done. Thank you. That's good. That was